first and highest duty as president is to defend our great country and the American people. I swore an oath to uphold the laws of our nation, and that is exactly what I will do. All Americans were rightly sickened and revolted by the brutal death of George Floyd. My administration is fully committed that for George and his family, justice will be served. He will not have died in vain. But we cannot allow the righteous cries and peaceful protesters to be drowned out by an angry mob. The biggest victims of the rioting are peace-loving citizens in our poorest communities. And as their president, I will fight to keep them safe. I will fight to protect you. I am your president of law and order and an ally of all peaceful protesters. But in recent days, our nation has been gripped by professional anarchists, violent mobs, arsonists, looters, criminals, rioters, Antifa, and others. A number of state and local governments have failed to take necessary action to safeguard their residents. Innocent people have been savagely beaten, like the young man in Dallas, Texas, who was left dying on the street, or the woman in upstate New York viciously attacked by dangerous thugs. Small business owners have seen their dreams utterly destroyed. New York's finest have been hit in the face with bricks. Brave nurses who have battled the virus are afraid to leave their homes. A police precinct has been overrun here in the nation's capital. The Lincoln Memorial and the World War II Memorial have been vandalized. One of our most historic churches was set ablaze. A federal officer in California, an African-American enforcement hero, was shot and killed. These are not acts of peaceful protest. These are acts of domestic terror. The destruction of innocent life and the spilling of innocent blood is an offense to humanity and a crime against God. America needs creation, not destruction. Cooperation, not contempt. Security, not anarchy. Healing, not hatred. Justice, not chaos. This is our mission, and we will succeed. 100%, we will succeed. Our country always wins. That is why I am taking immediate presidential action to stop the violence and restore security and safety in America. I am mobilizing all available federal resources, civilian and military, to stop the rioting and looting, to end the destruction and arson, and to protect the rights of law-abiding Americans, including your Second Amendment rights. Therefore, the following measures are going into effect immediately. First, we are ending the riots and lawlessness that has spread throughout our
I am literally telling you that they're murdering these people, and nobody will listen to me. And they all know what's happening. They all agree with me, and they all just shake their heads, and I'm like, am I the only one who is not a sociopath? To think that this is okay? Nobody's listened to anybody's lungs as long as I've been here. Even with disposable stethoscopes. I keep telling them that, the guys are like, my patient's going acidotic. We need to do something about this before his kidneys shut down, give him some bicarb or something like that. And this is what they do. They let the patient's blood get acidotic. So anyways, kidneys shut down, and at the last minute, they finally decide to run bicarb. So they run 5 liters of bicarb into a person who's gained 20 pounds of water weight and completely throw him into heart failure, and he dies several hours later. COVID didn't kill that guy. He was a COVID patient. Every single patient I've taken care of, guys, is a COVID patient. What I need is someone to help me save these people from being killed, from gross negligence and complete medical mismanagement. and no one is listening to me.
In the last week, but one of them is going to be that chains of transmission will have become lit from these gatherings. And Minnesota, one of the hard-hit states by the protests where you've seen large mass gatherings, that state has been seeing an uptick in cases to begin with. Even before these protests started, we saw rising hospitalizations in that state. So this country isn't through this epidemic. This is continuing to expand, but at a much slower rate. But it's still expanding, and we still have pockets of spread in communities that aren't under good control.
If you were out protesting last night, you probably need to go get a COVID test this week, because there's still a pandemic in a.
Know your enemy. Wow. Know your enemy. Wow. Shit is real, y'all. Peep this shit.
America that's killing black and brown people at higher numbers.
The mayor of Atlanta, and before that, former FDA Commissioner Scott Gottlieb on the potentially deadly consequences of large protests during the coronavirus pandemic. Joining us now, Morning Joe Chief Medical Correspondent Dr. Dave Campbell. Dr. Dave, I'm sure we weren't the only ones thinking this, watching this all unfold, and these people, you know, very close to each other, some of them obviously scuffling and having physical interactions. How possible is it that there will be a few, if not more, coronavirus cases out of these protests that turned into riots?
Yeah, you're right. Everybody across the country was watching this unfold with the same question in their mind. And all the experts so far that I've interacted with do believe that we will see a spike. And it will be in areas across the country, not just Minneapolis, but we'll see areas that are already showing hotspots, like in the South and the West, that will show some increase in the numbers of cases over the next few weeks. Maybe by July 4th, and thereafter we'll start seeing increasing deaths. It's important to remember that there is a difference between being inside and outside, and there's a great difference between having a face covering on or not having a face covering on. So the little bit of good news, Mika, would be that the protests are outside. But I wouldn't take that example too far, because many, many closely quartered individuals are going to spread aerosols and droplets. And we already know that talking spreads this droplet by about 6 feet. Coughing by about 12 feet, sneezing by about 18 feet.
There we go.
And I don't know anybody.
There we go.
That's looked at screaming and chanting how far that will send the viral particles, whether they're aerosolized or by droplet.
Yeah, you know, Eddie Glaude, how concerned were you during these protests, watching these protests over the past several days?
Our country. We will end it now. Today, I have strongly recommended to every governor to deploy the National Guard in sufficient numbers that we dominate the streets. Mayors and governors must establish an overwhelming law enforcement presence until the violence has been quelled. If a city or state refuses to take the actions that are necessary to defend the life and property of their residents, then I will deploy the United States military and quickly solve the problem for them. I am also...
There we go.
also taking swift and decisive action to protect our great capital, Washington, D.C.
There we go.
What happened in this city last night was a total disgrace. As we speak, I am dispatching thousands and thousands of heavily armed soldiers, military personnel, and law enforcement officers to stop the rioting, looting, vandalism, assaults, and the wanton destruction of property. We are putting everybody on warning. Our 7 o'clock curfew will be strictly enforced. Those who threaten innocent life and property will be arrested, detained, and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. I want the organizers of this terror to be on notice that you will face severe criminal penalties and lengthy sentences in jail. This includes Antifa and others who are leading instigators of this violence.
There we go.
One law and order, and that is what it is. One law. We have one beautiful law. And once that is restored and fully restored, we will help you, we will help your business, and we will help your family. America is founded upon the rule of law. It is the foundation of our prosperity, our freedom, and our very way of life. But where there is no law, there is no opportunity. Where there is no justice, there is no liberty. Where there is no safety, there is no future. We must never give in to anger or hatred. If malice or violence reigns, then none of us is free. I take these actions today with firm resolve and with a true and passionate love for our country. By far, our greatest days lie ahead. Thank you very much. And now I'm going to pay my respects to a very, very special
days by the fact that it is unfortunately it is black and brown Americans who have felt the disproportionate